What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and the Transformers TCG Wave 2 Rise of the Combiners news just keeps coming. No sooner have I finished my Starscream video than, hey, Superion Sky Protector, another Combiner, is revealed. So back to work we go. Superion, this is the 5th of 6 Combiners. So we've only got one more remaining. And I'm going to be honest with you, like all the others, there is a lot of potential here. Now, in some ways, this is a far more standard Combiner than the last couple we looked at. It is 25 stars, which I know might seem like the rule, but they do like breaking the rules in this game. Only 25 stars, that's quite nice. And it's got an attack of 6, which is about standard for Combiners, slightly low. A defense of 1, which is about standard for Combiners. And a health of 39, which is higher than the other 25 cost Combiners, those being Menasor and Predaking. So at least you're beating those guys. So the stats here are fine, but they're not stunning for a Combiner. However, the skills are incredibly nice here. It has Bold 1, meaning you flip 1 more battle card while attacking. You have Tough 1, meaning you flip 2 more battle cards while defending. And you have Pierce 3, meaning you can guarantee free damage. That means that if you whack a piercing blaster on here, bearing in mind you've already got an attack of 6, you will be doing 6 damage, which is a bit redonk. Oh yeah, and I should also mention here that this is a character that likes cheeky damage. When you combine it, you do free damage to an enemy. And again, to put that in context, Bolt of Lightning is a card coming in Wave 2 that does free damage to an enemy. It has no pip, and it costs a star to put it in your deck, such is the power of a random free damage. The fact that you've actually got free damage when you combine, add to the Pierce 3, add to the Tough 2, add to the Bold, add to the higher than we would expect health, we have the makings of a very, very good bot here. Now, it is a ranged character, and ranged opens up one of my favourite upgrades, and that is Armed Hovercraft. When you put it on a ranged character, you do 1 damage to each enemy. Now, firstly, we've already started with the cheeky damage. Don't worry, that's going to keep going. But secondly, this set is Rise of the Combiners. The Combiners are rising, and that means we're going to see more 5-wide teams, which means that a card like Armed Hovercraft is going to do 5 damage. And when the combination happens, that is essentially doing 5 damage in one go to a rival combiner. That is going to give you quite the advantage. Now, being a ranged character, you also have access to another upgrade, which I'm going to be honest, I don't like quite as much, but it's kind of fun. We are, of course, talking about Rapid Ascent. Gives you +1 defense, and your opponent scraps a card from their hand. It's fine, but it's no Armed Hovercraft. Having said that, it has an orange icon rather than a blue, and this is a character, given that you've got Bold 1 and Tough 2, that could be going Bold or Tough. Although, honestly, with Pierce 3 and Tough 2 and the cheeky damage, I'd be inclined to play this with majority blue icons with a bit of Pierce and a bit of extra cheeky damage. Now, I should mention this was revealed over at Gizmodo.com. They showed us the Combiner, but they also showed us everything else we need to see. Like the Aerialbot Enigma. Now, this is an Enigma card, so there's several things we already know about it. We know it's going to have a green icon, that's a given. If you flip it while attacking or defending, you may discard a card from your hand and put this into your hand. So it's kind of cool. If you've already combined, then you will have Superion on the battlefield, because you cannot uncombine without ending the game, and you get to do 1 damage to each of your opponent's characters. Bearing in mind, we've already got the skill when you combine, and we can use stuff like Armed Hovercraft. This could actually add up pretty gosh darn quickly. Of course, if you haven't combined, you know the deal by now. You need to have 5 Aerialbots, that's what they're called, in bot mode on the battlefield or in your KO area, or a mixture. And then you combine them into Superion Sky Protector. Lovely. So that's Superion, and that's the Enigma card. What we need to do now is look at the constituent characters. So let's start off having a bit of a look at Air Raid. Now, these are all 5-cost characters. What we have here is 5-cost characters that add up to a 25-cost character. So we're not expecting much in the way of stats, and a lot of the time we're not getting them here. 8 health is very low. 0 defense, I'm going to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, 0 defense is bad. And a combination of 8 health and 0 defense, that means you're not going to be staying very much at all. This is not staying around. This is going away pretty quickly, which is very, very sad. Now, the good news is you've got an attack of 3 in ult mode, but really this is one you're going to be wanting to transform sooner rather than later. In bot mode, you've got a very respectable attack of 4, and when you damage an enemy, you scrap an upgrade on that enemy, which is kind of cool. Now, I would imagine here, and I could be wrong, but I would imagine that the way this works with Force Field is that you damage an enemy, and then if Force Field wouldn't fall off usually, it does fall off here. I don't believe you would be able to do enough to KO and bypass the Force Field. I don't think that would work. But just being able to get rid of an upgrade here, it's just nice. Upgrades are good. And generally, your average deck, your starter for 10 deck in this game, is going to play 20 upgrades and 20 actions, trying to get an upgrade down every turn. If you can put them back by a turn, that's pretty sweet. It's vanilla in ult mode. This isn't a stunning character, there's nothing I love about it, but the attack of 4 is alright, and getting rid of upgrades, yeah, that's cool. It is a ranged character in either mode, and it is also a plane. And being a plane does give you access to a couple of plane cards. You've got Bombing Run, which allows you to move 1 damage counter from each of your planes to an enemy. Now that's really important here, because you've got a few planes in this deck. So you could be moving a few damage counters over, especially if your opponent is spreading damage, and this would be an incredibly gutsy move, maybe you play a Photon Bomb. Do 2 damage to all your characters, and then move 1 from each of them over. We can only play a 3-wide planes deck in Wave 1. We've gone a little bit beyond that here. And then in terms of upgrades, we have access here to Aerial Recon. When you attack or defend, you get to look at the top card of your deck and you may scrap it. Plus it gives you +1 defense. So if you're attacking and you see a blue icon, get rid of it. If you're defending and you see an orange icon, get rid of it. It's fine. But I'm a little bit more excited by Silverbolt. Now, what we see here is a ranged character and a plane, just like we saw before. And it's a 5-cost, just like we saw before. And the stats here are, again, they're not very good. Health of 7 is even worse than 8. Defense of 1 is at least better, but you've got a health of 7. And an attack of 2 or 3 is low. We don't like the stats here. But in ult mode, you've got Bold 1, which is quite nice. Lets you flip an extra battle card while attacking. And if you flip 1 white, 1 orange, and 1 blue icon, you flip to bot mode. Now, firstly, that helps you with a bot mode skill. More on that in a second. But remember, in order to get these characters combined, you need to get them all into bot mode. Now, you do have rapid conversion, and rapid conversion will shorten it by a turn. But this, if you can pull off the skill, will also shorten it by a turn. And if you're playing a good mix, this is very doable. Because you're flipping 2 battle cards anyway. And then Bold 1 means you flip a 3rd battle card. And then one of them is hopefully going to be white. So now you're flipping 5 battle cards. And now we might be rolling. If you can pull this skill off, you are shortening the combination by a whole turn. And maybe you're not doing too bad here. Maybe you're actually getting a bit of damage on the field. And then, of course, when you flip it into bot mode, you do 1 damage to an enemy. Yeah. Now, it's not quite as good as the other cheeky damage we've already seen in this deck, but I'm mentioning card after card which is doing extra damage, which is spreading damage around the field. You see where we're going with this, ladies and gentlemen? You see where we're going with it? This has a huge amount of potential. And I like this one very much indeed. It's not going to last very long, but if you can get off one attack and flip those 3 icons, you're doing a bit of damage, shortening combination by a turn, and getting an extra damage anywhere you like. This is wonderful. We also have Skydive here. Now, Skydive is also a plane. Skydive is also a 5 cost. But it's got some new tricks. Health of 8, meh. Attack of 3, meh. Defense of 1 or 2, it's not actually too bad. Defensive 2 is alright. But again, just stop expecting nice stats. You're not getting it here. But I do very much like the skills. When you are in ult mode, you've got tough 2. Flip 2 more battle cards when defending. Now, admittedly, you've only got a defense of 1. But if we build a little bit of a blue deck around this, this could actually work. When you're flipping over, you need to be flipping all 5 of these into bot mode. Now, clearly, you want to get Silverbolt flipping using its ability. And Air Raid, you're probably going to want to flip that sooner rather than later so that you can be damaging and scrapping upgrades. Whereas Skydive strikes me as one you want to be flipping fairly late. You've got tough 2, and you can just sit it there and just rock along for a little bit. When you flip it into bot mode and you attack, you repair 1 damage from one of your Aerialbots. This is, of course, the counter argument for flipping it late. It's a bit of healing. It's alright. It's fine. Healing 1 damage. It's not very much, but remember, all it means is maybe it survives for 1 more turn. And when you combine, maybe you've got 1 more health, which means your opponent is 1 health away from getting a KO. You see where I'm going with this. Healing 1 damage is not great, but it could be the difference between a win and a loss. But Skydive here comes out as a specialist, and specialist means you get access to a couple of other cards that you would otherwise not have access to. Now, we've got multi-mission gear. Orange icon, when you put it on a specialist, you may play an action, +1 defense. That's kind of cool, especially if you're sitting there in ult mode with tough 2 while getting extra defense, and extra actions are good. Maybe it's an extra rapid conversion to bring you 1 more turn closer to combination. Or you can go multi-tool, blue icon, +1 attack. When you put it on a specialist, you may play an upgrade. It is in every way the opposite. But the best one here is Field Communicator, which I'm proud to say I got to reveal. White icon, remember how important that's going to be for Silverbolt. And this is better, because when you attach it to a specialist, you scrap the card on the top of your deck and you may play it. Now, you don't know what it's going to be unless you've used plan, but the key point here is you don't have to have it in your hand. You don't need anything in hand to play this. I love multi-mission gear because I love playing extra actions, but I can only use this if I've got multi-mission gear and another action in my hand. Whereas Field Communicator, I play it, and I get to play another action or upgrade that isn't in my hand at the time. That makes a huge difference. Having specialists is good. The problem is we really do not want to have 1 specialist in a deck because that could be a little bit of a waste. Oh look, it's Alpha Bravo. He's a specialist. They are the only 2 specialists in the deck, but even so. And what really excites me about Alpha Bravo, he's a helicopter. This is, unless I'm very much mistaken, in which case comment section, the first helicopter we've ever had. Now, to be fair, there is no support for helicopters right now. Helicopters are going to join the list along with motorbikes, hey RC, and spaceships, hey Cosmos, as characters, designations that just do not have any support. But I am really crossing my fingers and hoping that one day soon, more helicopters and some helicopter support. Once again, the stats here, the stats are actually really bad. We've got 8 health, 1 defense, 2 attack. That means bad health, half of average attack, half of average defense. Not good. But the skills here are like nuts. In ult mode, when an enemy plane attacks, do 1 damage to it. So this is the kind of card where you might legitimately be playing it outside of an Aerialbot deck. And like I've done for Grimlock and Motormaster, I will bring you a video about this at some point in the future when the reveals slow down a little bit. So this is a really good anti-planes deck. Admittedly, if you're not against a plane, boo, hiss, etc. But if you are against a plane, this is good. And remember I showed you Stealthiness in the past couple of days? Stealthiness is a utility upgrade that you attach, and it basically says your opponent has to attack something else if they're able to. Which means if you whack a Stealthiness on here, you can guarantee that this stays on the field until your opponent does something super annoying and plays like a ramming speed to get rid of it. That means that you can keep this on the field, you can keep it alive, and just keep doing damage to planes. And remember, this is not the first card in this set, by set I mean the Aerialbots, that's doing what I refer to as cheeky damage. This is nice. And then in bot mode you've got Pierce 3. Bearing in mind Pierce 3 is the same amount of Pierce as we actually see on the fully combined character here. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Superion's got Pierce 3. And Alpha Bravo's got Pierce 3 as well. Now, Alpha Bravo only actually has an attack of 2, so you will need to get an orange icon or a +1 attack in order to actually get Pierce 3, but it does give you a little bit more incentive to go Pierce with this deck. I like Alpha Bravo because he's our first helicopter, and that makes me happy. Plus, he's a specialist, which means along with Skydive, you can use stuff like Field Communicator far more reliably. And then finally, we've got Fireflight. Fireflight is a ranged character and a plane, so more in line with the other characters. And 7 health bad, 1 or 2 attack bad, 2 defense not actually too bad. We can live with this. It's not terrible. But it's got Brave. Brave is a new keyword skill in Rise of the Combiners, which says that enemies have to attack Fireflight if they are able to. If they can attack it, they have to attack it. Cool. Now, if you don't want to have Brave, if you don't want to be attacked, make this the first one you flip into bot mode. But I really like the way here you've got that option if you want it. As I've said, you may well want to keep Alpha Bravo alive so that you can counter planes. We don't even need to worry about something like Stealthiness while Fireflight is on the field. Or maybe you want to keep Silverbolt just long enough to flip. But no matter which one it is you want to save, Fireflight's here being like, boys, I've got Brave, you're fine. Which is kind of cool. When you are in bot mode, if you've got 4 or more damage counters, you get +1 attack. Which now means you're at 3 attack, which is slightly better. I mean, there's the obvious combo here with Force Field. Force Field guarantees that you take 4 damage while not getting KO'd. I mean, look, in order for this to work, you've got to take 4, 5, or 6 damage. Force Field guarantees you only take 4 damage. You know that the designers must have been thinking Force Field when they made this card, and I don't blame them. It's alright. It's not great, but it's alright. The thing is, when we're looking at these 5-wide teams, we're not expecting much. We're expecting bad stats. We're expecting to be easily KO'd, but we make up for it by having a 5-wide team and getting extra attacks. We are expecting to have a low attack, but we're expecting to have more attacks, so it's okay. The best we can hope for is some good skills and a reason to be excited when we combine. And with Silverbolt accelerating your combining and getting a bit of extra damage there, and Skydive with Tough 2 staying there just hanging around a little bit longer, Alpha Bravo countering planes, we've got some things to really like here. Not to mention the fact that you are ranged and planes and specialist and all of that really do give us some nice hints and tips and tricks, things that we can do. The fact of the matter is here, Superion is a very good character when it's combined. And all of your Aerialbots here give us a reason to play this until the combination actually happens. Because when you combine the Pierce, the cheeky damage and everything else, there is a lot to like about Superion. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I think about Superion. But I would very much like to know what you think about Superion. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but then go ahead and be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Transformers and other things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.